Hello, everyone. How's everybody doing? We're going to talk about social media today. My name is Randall Pike. I am in the Office of Communications. Did I send you your picture? I did not. I'm sorry. I will, though, just because today I've seen your, this is my reminder. You've probably seen me. If you have not seen me in your building, I am responsible for taking a lot of pictures for the school system, as well as updating our social media, Twitter and Facebook pages. A quick show of hands, how many people in here know their parent, principal or administration supports social media for your school? If you don't know, say, hey, I don't know. Okay, so what your homework will be when you leave is to find out if there's something they would like to utilize for their school. Because ultimately, it's going to be up to them whether or not you guys have a Twitter or Facebook page. And what we're going to do today is, from my vantage point, is talk about what Twitter and Facebook is, how it can benefit you, the do's and don'ts, and also we're going to speak about or talk about how to take pictures for your school to send to make it look like newsworthy. Because we take pictures sometimes, and sometimes we just don't know what we're looking for. We just say, let's say if I'm doing a story about, what's your name, young lady? Stephanie. Let's say Stephanie is the creator of the Apple on the logo of Mac. And let's just say I take a picture of Stephanie and it's a wide shot. If I take a picture of Stephanie, it's a wide shot with everybody in it, the picture is not too intriguing. But if I take a picture with Stephanie with the logo in the picture and her smiling up close, that means the picture is more engaging. It's just different techniques we can use when we're taking pictures. So, but what we're going to do right now is we're going to actually set up a Twitter page for you guys to see what Twitter actually is. Does everybody even know what Twitter is? Heard of it. If you heard of it, you know, I'm very interactive. So if I'm asking a question, I expect a response. So if you know it, say you know. If you say you've heard of it. So if, okay, there you go. So for those who do not know or know of it, Twitter is another way that we communicate about ourselves. And I believe, or I'm an advocate for Twitter for a school, because I believe within your own, I kind of call schools their own city. And within your own city, you can promote what's going on to the people in your city. And what better people to promote it to the people who are involved with what you do. So what's your name? Beth, and what's your name? I forget. Don't be me. Lisa. So let's say Beth and Lisa are at the same school. And Roosevelt's in the house. So let's say if the Raiders have an extraordinary event and you tweet about it and then you add Lisa onto it. And Lisa retweets what you talk about. Then Lisa retweets that to her friends who see that and say, man, that's an amazing story. Then they retweet it. Retweet, we'll talk about what retweeting means. But it's a matter of gaining momentum, of spreading a word. That's why they call it social media. Social media allows people to actively engage in what's going on in real time. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to actually set up a Twitter page. I've actually already started. And I'm not going to make this too long drawn out, I promise. And I've already come up with a name, PGCPS test. And when you go to Twitter, it asks you to actually start following people immediately. Does everybody know what it means when they say follow people, follow me? What does that mean? What does that mean?
That means when you find out somebody, you get their handle, and then you start following them so I can see everything that they're talking about. And then if their friends see me, so like a lot of teachers, if I'm on now following PGCPS, I can follow Dr. Mahone, I can follow Title I. And if I start following Rashawn Bakers, and that's
exactly.
Give me examples of more people like them who I can also follow.
And so what we see right here, this is when she said your handle. This right here is your username, for lack of a better word. Our username for today is going to be @PGCPS test. That's our username. So if we're meeting, what's your name, young lady? Bianca Johnson. Let's say if your Twitter feed was @BJohnson. Okay. So every time I would put in right here @BJohnson, I mention you. And that would show up in your newsfeed. You see how I haven't tweeted anything yet.
You put Parkdale LMC.
Oh, you're a Parkdale? Represent. Okay, I need to follow you guys. So, and right here is our Twitter feed. So right here in this area where this mouse is going crazy, this right here is our Twitter feed. These are people who they are suggesting I follow because I've logged in with my what's the word? I have a personal email address I've logged in as, because when you set your email up for one Twitter handle, you cannot use it for any other Twitter handle. So once it's like they're married, so you can't use it for another Twitter handle. So right now I'm using a dummy Twitter as my email address. And I am awesome with letting us know.
If you, well, I read it in Twitter for Dummies.
Okay.
If you use a Gmail account and you put a period in the address, then you can set that up as a second account.
Oh, okay.
Because Gmail doesn't recognize periods, so it will still go to your same original Gmail.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a Google Drive document that we're all going to share, and we're going to include that in there, and I'll also include how we're going to set up this Twitter page. Everybody like that? Yes. You guys like that? Yes, no, maybe so?
Let me ask you this. So I can have a school handle, like I can use my school email and have like my little username, but then if I want another thing, I just use my personal email, because
Yes.
I don't need to have like
Exactly.
those things married.
Exactly. Yes, right, because we don't want them married to have a divorce.
No one in my life.
Max has a comment.
Yeah, no one in my life.
One thing we really suggest ASCO, that's why we want the principal to approve like a school Twitter account, because if you set it up under an email address that you own and you leave the school or become disgruntled and post things that are anti-school, which you hopefully won't do,
Right.
it would go with you. And so we really suggest you use your school's email account to set up Twitter and Facebook pages.
Okay.
Every single school has a Gmail account. For instance, like Bradbury Heights at pgcps.org. Every
Okay.
single school has that. If you don't know what it is, your principal doesn't know what it is, just email the help desk or email services, and they will help you to get it set up. 'Cause that way, it remains with us. Otherwise, it can go away from us really quickly, and we have no way to get it back. You know, so, if you're setting it for the school, overall school, please use the school's email address.
Right on with the right on.
Okay, got it.
So what we're going to do right here is just set up our page. I'm going to go in the settings tab, and I'm going to go to edit profile. And I want to change my profile picture because I don't like the egg. They just give you a random egg when I don't want that. So what I did was I said, you know what? I want an actual PGCPS logo. That's what I'm going to use. I think that's cool, and we're testing. So I just navigated to where I saved it. I saved it in my downloads. Everyone's pretty much tech savvy in here, right? Okay, so you know how to navigate to your stuff. Okay, so I navigate to that, and I picked a really large one, so I'm just going to use PGCPS, ask me to position the size on it, apply, and there it is. Changing my header right now, it's just plain old gray. The header is pretty much the background on your Twitter page, and I didn't save anything for that, so I'm just going to leave it gray. I name it, like I said, it's PGCPS test. With Twitter and Facebook, you always want to redirect your traffic back to your website. That's like because your website is really your face in your city, as I was saying before. So let's say if we have, Lisa says that she has some awesome students in her reading class. Check it out. And you can say, we have some awesome students in our reading class. Check out our calendar when our next reading test will be. And it'll redirect us, and she'll put her website in there and redirect us back to her website. All traffic should try to redirect back to it or make mention of what's going on at your school. So I'm going to put up here, PGCPS is our website. The bio, I'm going to put, shucks, I think this test is cool. You guys like that? Okay, just making sure. I said call, sorry. Okay, so, and it's also there's a way that you can connect your Facebook page and your Twitter page, and like if you send out a message from Twitter, it can go to Facebook. I'm not going to do that though, and I'm going to save my changes, and I am ready to start tweeting. So this is our PGCPS test. Let's create a tweet. So if you want to create a tweet, it's right here, and it's just, I don't even know what this.
It's a
icon is. You guys know what it is. So it says if you never know what anything is, just highlight it over it, and it's going to say compose a new tweet. And so what I want to do is I'm going to mention Miss Johnson's. What you said, Parkdale?
Yes.
What is it? Is it at?
My Twitter handle.
Uh-huh.
LMC.
So it's Parkdale. And what's after that? LMC. Okay. Is always what? Give us something to put in there, Ms. Johnson. Send me something else in there.
It's always promoting reading.
It's always what?
Promoting reading.
Promoting reading. Okay. That's right. We're going to talk about that too. Okay. All right, we'll put hashtag reading. Okay. Yes, when you were mentioning somebody, yes. But let's say if you start following somebody, it'll automatically come up, it'll automatically pop up in your screen if you're popping up. So it'll eliminate sometimes you forgetting to add the @ sign. Okay?
Put that space in between the last thing you write and the hashtag.
Yes.
I didn't do that, and it wasn't.
It was just like a hashtag and then a space.
Well, it was no space.
So what's your question now?
Exclamation point and the hashtag.
Yes.
I wasn't putting a space.
Right, so it just
It wasn't.
exactly. Okay. So I'll put that in there. Oh, I messed up. Okay, so that's in there. Then I say tweet. And we've done. We've mentioned Parkdale, LMC, and it's interactive enough. If I click on Parkdale's their handle, I can go to Parkdale's page and I can follow them, which I'm going to do right now. So they have 414 tweets, 27 followers. They're following 27, and we want to follow them. Okay, so I'm going to get updates from Parkdale whenever they're ready, and I'm excited about that. So when we're on Twitter, there are certain things we should and shouldn't do, and I'm going to ask you guys to refer to your packet, and we'll go over these quite quickly. Of 10 key benefits of social media and what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to engage, build your presence and position your organization as a thought leader. So what you want to do is pretty much promote what it is you want to promote. And what better person to have news spread out to the media than you telling them what's going on, especially if you have a lot of parents following you on Twitter. So what you have to do is engage or find out how many parents in our school or in our city are using Twitter. So it may be a thing of you guys might not even need Twitter if you don't even have enough Twitter followers in your actual school. But that's something that you would have to create and you would have to find out. Inform. Provide updates in real time as events occur. You can share information about your school events, job openings, and education reform in general. Any elementary schools here right now? So let's say read across America. A lot of times we have what's the guy's name? Cat in the Hat, and we do a lot of Dr. Seuss stuff. And sometimes we'll come around, take pictures at schools, and what you can do in real time is actually have a picture taken where a student is reading in a Dr. Seuss hat or in a Cat in the hat, and post it up and saying we're celebrating Read Across America. Hashtag Read Across America. How many people are familiar with hashtags are? If you're not, it's okay. You know why? Because I'm going to tell you. Hashtags are trending topics that it's like a search engine within Twitter. So let's say if you wanted to find out more about Read Across America, you can actually type in hashtag Read Across America and find out anybody or everybody who's ever hashtag Read Across America. So it allows you to basically explore more events like yours to find out who's doing what. Number 3, advocate. Enable supporters to distribute messages through their social web presence. Now, let's say if you guys are up running your Twitter page and your Facebook page and you would like to engage. There is nothing wrong with engaging your parents or your followers or the people who like your page. There will be some times, because it is social, people will be disgruntled with what it is you may be doing. And if they are not using anything derogatory, if they're not saying anything that's bad, they have that right. they have their right to say so. That's just freedom of speech. And but what it can be a deterrent is if you have it out there and it's something that you don't respond to. So, for instance, if something, and we, it's not nothing serious that we're talking about. So we'll remove ourselves from something serious going on, but it'll be something questionable, like a parent saying they never post anything on their website about about the school's reading homework, and you as administrator may be like, well, we actually do. Here's the site, and you redirect them back to the site. That'll be something that you can respond to and have some great customer service for your school. Engaging online means that someone's going to have to be dedicated to doing it. Social media is not just a sit at your desk, fly by night kind of thing. It has to be thought out, it has to be timed, and it has to be timely. There are a lot of times when we'll post something like on a Monday and won't post anything again on a Friday and don't understand why you only have 2 followers. If you want to build your followers, you have to, for lack of a better word or phrase, you have to get into the game. And so being active in social media means that you're constantly posting something and you're constantly putting it out there. One thing that may not be on here is when you do post something, you can't get it back, especially on Twitter. Once it's out there, it is out there. So a key word advice, if you're really emotional about something, take a deep breath and really think about, is it this serious for me to tweet? Like, there have been times where, like when we have school closings or when we don't have school closings, the kids, they kill us on Twitter. I mean, I didn't know they could use that kind of language. And sometimes I want to just respond back and say, what does your mom think about this, But I don't, because that's just their freedom of saying they're displeased with what decisions we're making. They can say that, whether I believe that the kids that age should be using language or not. So I'm saying all that to say, take a moment to really evaluate what it is you're saying, because once it's out there, you can't get it back. And also, someone brought up spell check. Please, if there's more than one person as administrator for Twitter or Facebook, hey, let them look at it. But sometimes you may not have time enough to say, hey, check this out. But what you can do is make sure you copy and paste it, maybe into a Word document, spell check it, and make sure your sentence structure and subject-verb agreement is going correctly, and check it. But on the flip side, they only allow you, I think, 128 characters to type in Twitter. So you can use shorthand substitutions for words, for like week, first, for, your. You can do all of those within Twitter because you only have a certain amount of characters to work with. Listen to others. We already went over that. Empower. Your most influential supporters to promote your organization. So there's ways to get more followers, as opposed to, you can mention, like I mentioned Miss Johnson, I mentioned her, and she may in turn like us back or follow us back, or I might say, hey, Parkdale LMC, like us back or follow us back, and she'll eventually do that. And so social media, it is exactly what it says, social. You have to be social. Yes.
With the news, if you had something really awesome going on at your school, you didn't think that the news would pick it up. Like, oh, whatever, I don't think it happened, but put it on Twitter and hashtag ABC7.
Yeah, well, like I said, what happens?
Politician and the university, or, whoever fits the contract.
Exactly.
But then there's a chance that somebody there is going to be like, oh, look what Roosevelt or College Park Academy or whoever it is, look what they're doing. Maybe we should,
Maybe we should go out there and go.
check this out.
Is that me? No. Oh, okay. So you trying to tell me I need to sit down?
No.
That's what it is? Okay.
No.
I will sit down. So, I'm just kidding. Yes.
So the only way, I'm just trying to make sure I understand.
I want you to be as transparent as possible right now. So tell me.
The only way that you can reach more people related to your tweet if we hashtag. Is that what you're saying?
Well, that's a way to do it, but if you want to reach more people with your tweet, mention who you want, who's it. Let's say if Michael Jordan visits your school. Like, case in point, we had the Washington Redskins visit Lake Arbor Elementary School. And we had 3 of the football players there. And with those football players, they actually have Twitter accounts. They have Twitter handles, okay? And what I did was I took a picture of them with the child had a release form, and I put on there, Redskins getting ready to read with our students. This is awesome. At what's the guy's name? At Alfred Morris. And I mentioned the other guys. Alfred Morris saw it. He retweeted it to his followers. One of his followers is in the school system. The school system person retweeted. That person retweeted to somebody else who is in another organization, saw it like, wow, this is cool. They retweeted it. And so it's a constant snowball effect of, if I mention you, somebody else might see it and mention you. If I mention somebody else, they may mention you. So it's a constant snowball effect of somebody seeing somebody and being social. Sometimes it doesn't work, though. I will say, just because you mention somebody doesn't mean they're going to retweet it and say, oh, they mentioned me, because sometimes people get a whole bunch of mentions. Like, for instance, there was a time when, like I said, when the snow came, like, it's a good and bad thing. When schools close, we always see a spike in our followers. Like, it's crazy. Like, when I started, we had, like, I think 50 followers. Now we're up to 10,000. And when we had the earthquake, I mean, we were up to like 2,000. And when we had the rain event, it just increased. And so I say all that to say, sometimes you just get, a lack of a better phrase, a perfect storm of something to happen to get more followers. Now, in order for your school to engage or actively have something in your community where it's actually relevant, you have, like I said, you have to actually gauge, is our community or are we using this in our program? Is this something that we're actively doing? Because you could be putting out a lot of stuff in space and no one sees it. You know what I mean? So, this is the conversation you're going to need to have with your principal, see what their vision is for actually drawing a spotlight onto their school. Because, like it or not, when you do create a Facebook or Twitter page, you're able to see, everyone's able to see you, So it's a thing of finding out their vision and finding out what they want to do. Anybody have any questions so far? Yes.
I see some followers on other Twitter pages that are associated with the school, and some of the things that they have put on their Twitter feed are not appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
So is there a way to find out who they are?
Not really. I'm assuming it's students.
Yes.
So let's say if because your Twitter is that for the school?
Yes.
So your Twitter page, they mention let's say if they talk bad about school lunch or something.
No, they just follow me. You go and I look at their page, and they got, really inappropriate stuff.
Well, if it's on their page, if it's on their Twitter page, that's them. But let's say, let me use this example. Let's say if they use a derogatory term towards you and it shows up in your Twitter feed, you can report them as spam and bullying. Then you can open up an investigation to try to find out who it is. But that's the extent of what you would like to try to find out. I don't even know if we have that capability of going in that deep and finding out. I mean, a principal could, a school actually could, if it's in their city and they know who the student looks like, you can obviously go to a yearbook.
Yeah, only the county police can actually.
Exactly.
Threat.
Exactly.
Or some sort of investigation going against them.
Exactly.
Otherwise, it's freedom of speech.
Exactly. So it's like they can put out there in free space what they want to say, but if it's derogatory towards you, you have the capability to block them, and
I just want to kind of know who it was and warn them that what they're doing is inappropriate and it's going to be permanent, and be on their record forever.
But if they're following you, if you wanted to notify them, if they're following you, you can.
Following me, I just looked at who they're following someone else.
Oh, okay.
It's just on their page, I think is what she said.
Okay.
On your Facebook page.
Okay.
Something. Someone went to my Facebook.
It was on Twitter, and they said they liked something on Twitter.
They just had an inappropriate photograph.
Got you. Okay. Well, that's on them. That's on them. And if someone sees it, see, the thing would be, if, like I said, once you follow somebody and it shows up in your feed, that's when you can report it as spam and unblock them. So it's like if they're not affiliated with you, it's like out there in space. That's their world, unfortunately. That's the kind of world we live in. And so speaking to blocking and reporting as spam, if someone uses your mention, what we like to call this is mention. So if someone mentions you, someone uses your Twitter handle and mentions you in a derogatory way, you can report them as spam, and you can report them and block them. You can do that. You can report them to Twitter. I've had instances where we've reported something, Twitter has actually deactivated their account because of what they've done and what they said. So that can happen.
And then also you can just stop following that person. You know?
Well, it's like a one-sided thing. They may be following us, but we're not following them. PGCPS, we don't follow a lot of people because it'll start showing up in our news feed some of the crazy stuff these kids are saying. Because I would say Facebook has a lot of parents. Twitter has a tremendous teen follow. And if we start following the teens, we're really going to be like, oh, these kids in PGCPS are crazy. And the truth of the matter is, we've all said some crazy things. They just have an extension to do it. Yes.
What about, there was an administrator that was following people, and that got like big news and media, and I just don't see how me following, I don't want to follow kids. Like, he had his Twitter account, and he was all in their business and all in their Twitter pages. I don't really want to do stuff like that.
What?
So, yeah, we don't.
Well,
I don't feel like, for me, maybe for them it worked. I mean, he was tweeting things like, hey, you know, because kids put all their, I don't want to know all your business. That's
They
why
do.
Kids are like, oh, do you have a Facebook? I'm going to friend you. And I'm like, after June, whatever your graduation
You don't talk to me.
I'm good.
Uh-huh.
Other than that, I don't want to talk to you.
Right, so it's the thing of how active is a educator in their community. So they may have one Twitter page for just the students and one Twitter page just for their personal.
Right.
I noticed for me, and I guess I'll be transparent. I do a lot of stuff in my church with the kids, and I have a Twitter page and a Facebook page. And if an administrator is, I guess you could say, lack of a better word, if they're in really deep, they may be able to be positive and stop a lot of stuff.
Correct.
So, but if you're that actively engaged, and I'm not promoting doing that, I'm just saying the pro would be you would be actively engaged with what's going on.
However, like, I don't need to see you doing illegal things.
You're right.
And I'm like obligated to say something, aren't I? I mean,
That's totally up to.
These are like the drawbacks.
Well, it's like that's
I mean,
totally
it's good,
right.
Like you said,
Exactly.
But then I don't want to see you like.
Right, but that's up to, and that's up to,
All that.
that's up to how much you can tolerate, how much you would like to follow. That's a personal choice that you determine, and how you pretty much dictate what you're going to do.
Yeah, I guess that is, yeah. But I mean, I know they were like in the news for it, and I was just kind of like, I don't know that I would really want to do all that, because
Exactly.
that's just too much. One, I don't have time to do all that.
I got you.
And I don't want to know all your business.
Right. Well, like I said, that's a personal means of how you would like to do that. That's okay. Moving over to Facebook. This is our Facebook page. We are actually working with the IT department to get certain people, because right now there's a firewall that blocks Facebook in the school system, and the reason being certain teachers, for God knows, I don't know why, they would actually give the password to the students. I don't know. For the life of me, I've never figured that out why. But for right now, we are working. So if your principal envisions having a Facebook page, this would be, I guess, what exactly pretty much it would look like. When you're posting on Facebook, you actually want to have, it's good to have a visual, right? This past Saturday, we had a college and career expo. We had over 700 students and parents there in attendance. It was a really successful event. And we sent it out through our Education Matters. We sent it out through Facebook and Twitter. And because of the different levels of communication, this event was successful. So what I'm saying is, I'm saying to you guys, if your principal is one of who likes to be out there in the cyber world, this will be another means of communication to the people who we like to communicate with. So if your parents are actively using Facebook, this will be something that you can use. Yes.
With this, you can do a lot more settings to make it more private.
Exactly. And this one.
Be notified when people are going to post to your page.
Yep.
Only let things through, and
You can.
a lot more you can put a lot more restrictions on it.
Exactly. With Facebook, you can actually go in and say, I don't want this person to never post on my page. With Facebook, you can actually have it where you could delete certain comments. On Facebook, you can have it where, I mean, it's just, the settings in there are, we can do a Facebook and Twitter class just on settings alone. But this is pretty much just an overview of what you can do to communicate within your school. Some more do's and don'ts. You would like to, if you can on Facebook, have an actual image to go with what you're talking about. It just makes it for more people to like it. Like, for instance, this one, this is talking about a budget public hearing we had. Only had 336 people like it, all right? So, and I'm using this one because this is the most recent example. We had this one here, it had 1,000 people saw the post, and we had 7 likes. So it reaches more people when you have a visual to see something. Now, like when we have like celebrities coming to the school or professional football players or stuff like that, that always gets like the most hits and likes. That's just happens. You always get a lot of likes when we talk about student scholarship information, student volunteer information. You always want to be constantly thinking about how are you going to promote and where are you going to be promoting to. Moving forward in the presentation, I said we were going to talk about basic photography do's and don'ts. This right here is a picture that we pulled for hiring nurses. This picture looks pretty good, but can anybody see in here what would be wrong in this picture? All right, what are we talking about? Which one?
The one in the corner with it.
Right here, right?
About tobacco.
It's about, and what's wrong with it?
It has nothing to do with it.
It had nothing to do with it. What else? If we could actually see it, I mean, I could also let you know some other things. But what does it say to you if you pointed this out automatically? What does that say to you?
The nurse wasn't the focus of
The nurse was not the focus of this picture. It's like subliminally, I'm saying, hey, just because you're a school nurse, you can still smoke some cigarettes and be cool. Actually, the girls have cigarettes coming out their nose and ears, and this is in the health room. And I asked them to take it down because it just didn't make sense in the health room, but that's neither here nor there. So what we did was, because I actually took another picture, and it's pretty much the same thing, and what we did was we just changed it. We just went to, we just used the weight and the concept is still the same, but background matters. Background matters. So if you're like myself, you probably have multiple jobs, and all of us in here pretty much have multiple jobs we do. That's just the nature of our work environment. You have to be cognizant of what's in the picture. So if you're a photographer at your school, you have to think about how does this make sense? What are my backgrounds? How is this looking? Going back to how to take a picture and make the focal point of the picture the person. What's your name, ma'am? Demetrius. Let's say if we are doing a picture, let's say if I want to do a picture for what's the word? Recruiting teachers. If I want to do a picture for recruiting teachers, I'm not going to have a picture of a teacher scolding the child. I'm going to have a picture. If I want to do a picture for recruiting teachers, I'm going to have a teacher smiling in their office. It's going to be bright. It's going to look like I want to invite teachers into the school system. That's what you're looking for when you're taking pictures. You want to be inviting. You want to make sure that you're not too far away. You want to be able to make sure you see the action. So with that being said, guys, that's like me in a nutshell. I hope I've not bored you. I hope you've taken something from it. And what I plan on doing is hopefully creating a Google share, because did everyone sign up in here? And creating a Google Share Drive document where we can actually share how to set up a Twitter page, how to set up a Facebook page, the do's and don'ts, what certain things mean. And please, refer to this as well. You know, I only like scratch the surface of what was really in here, okay? So please refer to this as well. It's a great manual. And that's my time, so thank you very much.